Hello again, friends, and welcome back to another Books and Coffee, where we discuss an amazing book and we also enjoy a nice cup of joe or whatever you choose to drink. Welcome back, guys. Happy Valentine's Day to all of my wonderful friends. Such a cozy holiday. Of course, it can be very lonely for some of us, but just remember, you are the most important person and you deserve all the love in the world, so cheers to you. Anyway, back to the hot, sexy dragon shifters. We're picking off where we left off last week, which is with book 2 of the Stonefire Dragon series. This book, over here, we'll have it here, is Seducing the Dragon. Now, in the last video, I already gave a little history on Miss Jessie Donovan, the author of the book. However, I thought it would be fun to continue to share some fun facts about her that I just found amazing and just really enjoyed finding out during my research. So yeah, here's some fun facts. So one fact is that she's actually lived in 3 states, California, Virginia, and West Virginia. And she's also lived in 3 countries, the USA, Japan, and England. And then here's the kicker. She's moved 14 times within the span of her entire life so far. I need to know how this woman packs, because apparently she's just a pro. I wonder if she knows what kind of boxes to get, especially for books. Because sometimes, the last 2 times that I've moved, it's always really hard to try to pack my books and make it to where I don't make the box overly heavy, but also not too light to where they're all imbalanced. So yeah, Jessie, if you have any tips, please, I would love to know. Another fact about Miss Jessie Donovan, which I relate to wholeheartedly, is that she used to hate running, tremendously. I mean, I still hate it, but she does really love jogging on her treadmill. She does yoga to relax, and she's looking for a stationary bike for her home gym. Don't know if you're still looking for one, but I hope your endeavors are successful. And if they were, then huzzah! And then, of course, the third fun fact about her is that most of the ideas that she gets for her plot, for a lot of her stories, come to her while she's in the shower or when she's running on the treadmill. But the best ideas come from while she's traveling. For example, apparently in her book, The Air, the water maze that she wrote in it was actually inspired by the real one that she saw in England. So pretty dope if you've ever read that one. There you go. So when it comes to our second installment of the Stonefire Dragon series, the second book was actually published on January 21st of 2015. And I think with the first one, I think it was roughly 4 months after the first one came out. So it's pretty quick. But if I had been reading this when they were coming out, 4 months would have been a blessing, but also kind of terrifying. But anyway, there you go. Now for a little plot summary for our second installment of the Stonefire Dragon series. We are introduced to Miss Evie Marshall, who actually works for the Department of Dragon Affairs. And she happens to find herself on Clan Stonefire's land for one reason and one reason only: to seduce the clan leader. Of course, Bram Moore-Leowen isn't a big fan of the British government, especially the Department of Dragon Affairs. However, there's something about Miss Evie Marshall that triggers his dragon and his primal instincts. Soon enough, Bram must make a choice, whether to save the human and go against the British government and break the law, or turn her over to the dragon hunters. So when it comes to the why, it's very similar to the first book, obviously. I very much enjoyed the story. The characters are amazing, including the development of characters we've already been introduced to. And the world expansion in this book is very fascinating. And that's where we actually begin. So when I talk about world expansion, I'm talking about getting to know more about what is in this world and what pre-tell it has, how it affects the dragons. And one of the big things that's in effect in this book is actually the dragon hunters. We get involved in with them much more in this book. Towards the end of the first book, we actually did get to encounter them, and Tristan was actually severely hurt by a weapon that they had possessed. But we really didn't get to see or, investigate too much into them. All we knew was that they were bad. But in this one, we actually get a name for one of the big dragon hunter groups that actually turns out to be a pretty big deal, as they are called the Carcile dragon hunters. And these guys are ridiculously evil, like, damn. For reals, though. Another part of the world expansion that we get in this book is obviously a little sneak peek more into the political side of things, especially when it comes to the Department of Dragon Affairs, which is where Evie comes from. It's actually where she worked at the beginning of the book. And you kind of get a little bit of history into them as to, what their job really is, what they're supposed to do, what they monitor. And just to give a little prime example, they're actually like the middleman for the human world and the dragon world. So they are the ones that kind of not make the laws, but make sure that the laws that are set for the dragons stay in check, while also making sure that, the humans obey the laws that they've put in them to try to protect, the dragons, and vice versa. They're also the ones that actually do the evaluation for all of the female sacrifices that go into the dragon shifters' lands. They test them to make sure that they're mentally and physically healthy. Apparently, there's even like a test, like a blood test or something that they have to take in order for them to determine whether or not the female is going to be compatible to mate with the dragon, because sometimes women can't be paired up with a dragon shifter because they're not capable, which actually is a big thing in this book, because that's what happens with Evie, is that she, a long time ago, before she signed up to be part of the DDA, got herself tested because she, had a little fantasy or whatever, and she really wanted to be a sacrifice, but her blood wasn't compatible. So she was like, okay, well, I guess I'll just work for the DDA and still get to meet dragon shifters. And that experience kind of went to shit. I won't spoil too much in this section, but yeah, poor thing doesn't have a good experience, and I feel bad. So now you're probably thinking, well, if Evie works for a government, official thing, why haven't they done anything to protect her? I mean, if these dragon hunters are making a threat on her life, you would think that, her workplace would want to protect her. But no. So Evie actually goes into a little bit of detail of this at the beginning of the book, but the DDA does absolutely nothing and will do nothing to help her unless something actually physically happens to her, which, shocker, like, bureaucracy at its finest, y'all. Cheers. So out of desperation, she goes to try and seduce Mr. Bram, to try to get him to be her mate and keep her on the land so she can stay safe. Because obviously she just can't, go onto the land and be like, hey, so can I stay here because my life is being threatened? Because that's illegal. Apparently, dragons can't just help humans for the hell of it. Because, apparently that's bad. So what Evie kind of disguises, but doesn't really disguise, is part of her job as a DDA agent is after a human sacrifice successfully gives birth to her babies, they get a I think it's called a post-birthing checkup, which means that a DDA agent is sent to the clans just to check in on the humans, make sure the humans are okay, they're not freaking out or whatever, and that they're healthy, ready to go, and that they're being treated nicely. Again, not too many spoilers, but in that certain area, Evie's past relationships with, having to do this particular task has left a bad taste in her mouth. But anyway, we've been talking so much about Miss Evie that it's now time to get into the second part of, why we chose this book, or this series in general, which is the characters. And gosh, damn do I love Evie. She is just this fiery, spitfire, like, takes no shit from nobody type of character, and woman in general. And my gosh, I mean, I've read other books with a very similar female archetype, but Evie literally is one of those where it's like her temper is her strength, but it's also her like number one weakness. If somebody says something, Bram, that she doesn't like, then she just automatically will say something right away. She speaks her mind, and it's a very refreshing, and very fun thing to have one of our, main characters have. It's also really interesting to have it be like her biggest weakness too, obviously, because I mean, come on, all of my friends. We have had that one friend, or even you yourself, where you just can't stop your mouth, and sometimes you wish you would. Sometimes it helps you out, and other times it gets you into deep shit. So obviously this takes us, into Bram and stuff, which I'm not gonna lie, when I found out that this was his story, I got very excited. In the first book, you don't get a really good description of Bram, so he was one of those characters that in the first book I kind of wish I had a little bit more description on him. I feel like there was little to none, and so he was just kind of like this other dragon shifter who may have been hot, may have not been, no idea though. But damn, in this book, yum. So we get to enjoy Mr. Bram, but we also get to enjoy his dragon. And my gosh, are these two characters so interesting. I mean, in the first book, we already, you're kind of made aware that Bram, as a clan leader, has this leadership ability and personality that suits him well, from what we know through Tristan. But in this book, you get to see it a lot more, obviously. A lot of Bram's inner dialogue with himself, along with his dragon, is extremely interesting, especially when it comes to Evie and just kind of like, thinking and deducing and figuring out whether or not like she's here for the right reasons, because obviously he's suspicious from the get-go, like when she walks in. Apparently most DDA agents, when they show up, they try to cover up as much as possible, especially around a lot of the unmated dragons, because apparently dragons that are unmated and they're teenagers are just horny as hell, which, I mean, not surprising. So he's super suspicious of her from the get-go because she is wearing some sexy ass clothes, and of course he like bluntly admits like to himself that yes, Evie is extremely attractive and he wouldn't mind having her in his bed. But then it gets really interesting because his dragon suddenly kind of is like taking a really peak interest in her, and it kind of confuses Bram because he will be like, the dragon will make a comment like, no, she's a good fit, accept her proposal, after listening to her, tell him the truth at one point. And he kind of like does like gives the look of like, what, to his dragon, and is like, wait, just like that? Like, we're not even gonna question this? And the dragon's like, nope, we don't need to. And of course he like demands his dragon as to, what does he mean? And his dragon's like, don't worry about it. Yeah, it's just this really fun interaction. But also we get to see kind of like a softer side to Bram too. No spoilers in this section, but there is a very, very cute little tick that we learned that Bram has when it comes to children, and it is the cutest thing in the world. Not gonna lie, Daddy Bram gets to come play for a little bit. But yeah, it's so interesting to watch because, again, we get to know Bram, and that to me was the most exciting part, especially because personally, other than Arabella, he was my favorite. Another cool thing too that I found interesting was that unlike Tristan's dragon in the first book, who was more like primal beast, Bram's dragon, while still a primal beast, actually has some semblance of self-control and a little bit more, I guess, intellect, you could say. You know, again, with Tristan and his dragon, in terms of comparison, it was more kind of like the dragon was not the more dominant side of Tristan, and Tristan kind of had to work to keep his dragon in check. With Bram and his dragon, though, it was almost like there was a flux. Bram is the more dominant out of the two. He kind of is like, no, I'm in charge. This is how it's done. Which is really interesting because apparently within dragon shifter culture, a leader has to be like that. They have to be able to not only control their dragon, but they have to have a very distinguished personality that allows them to be focused and obviously concentrating at all times, because, you know, shit could hit the fan at any moment, especially with the dragon hunters. Another thing that I found really, really fun within this book is getting to watch Evie and Bram, how their characters flow and connect with each other. And what I mean by that is, again, Evie is just this spitfire of a young lady, and Bram is this kind of like, you know, not cold demeanor, but has like this, you know, very serious, like, I'm all about business type of deal. And it's really funny because they kind of bring out the best in each other, but also like they piss each other. They know exactly how to piss each other off. And it's hilarious because all Bram has to do is be stoic and super, super serious. And like Evie just will sometimes flip her shit, and she's just like, just freaking tell me, you know, like, stop staring at me. Like, what the fuck? And Bram just will like then smile and grin, or not even that. Sometimes he'll just be staring at her and they'll be having a very serious conversation. And then he makes a sly remark and just like slightly grins or like gives that sexy dragon smile. And she like will not get angry, but like, you know, sexually frustrated, snippy at him. It's the cutest. This couple dynamic in this book is so cute and it's so fun, and I absolutely enjoyed every second of getting to know these two characters in particular. Another really cool thing that happens is we are introduced to a brand new character, Finlay Stewart, who is the clan leader to Clan Lockguard in Scotland. I will say he is absolutely charming, and I am very excited to read his book. So the way he comes about is after certain events take place, Bram has been very much trying to reach out to other clan leaders and just kind of get some, you know, support from other dragon shifters, especially because the dragon hunters have been causing a huge ruckus as of late. And so Finn was one of the few dragon leaders that actually responded to Bram's invitation and shows up on Clan Stonefire as a guest. And he is such, like I said, a charmer. You can tell that he's kind of a smartass and that he doesn't have much experience, which actually they do say in this book is that he actually just became the leader of Clan Lockguard. And so he's really new to, you know, his responsibilities and, you know, what he has to do. And so he has that like kind of cocky attitude, which Bram definitely points out, and it irritates Bram to no end because Finn is also, you know, he's kind of a flirt. And he kind of flirts with Evie, especially, you know, during that time when Bram's like, I don't know if I like you or not. But then Finn comes in and Bram's like, back off from my woman. So, I mean, yeah, like every alpha male does. So a little note in this that I found really interesting while reading this book is that actually Bram reaching out to the other dragon shifter leaders is a very touchy subject, especially when it comes to the British government. Apparently, it is illegal for them to joined to get, like, band together, because they think that the dragon shifters will, you know, unite and destroy all of humankind. Which, honestly, you know, with the way that this world in this book is going, the dragon shifters should absolutely be banding together to protect themselves, because these dragon hunters are killing and kidnapping them left and right, and the British government is doing nothing, like absolutely nothing to fix it. It's very irritating. I'm sorry. We'll get more into that in the spoiler section, because damn. Ooh. So Finn, you know, is all about breaking tradition and is absolutely gung-ho for the idea of teaming up with Bram to, you know, protect their land. However, you know, Finn doesn't know Bram very well, and Bram doesn't know Finn. And so, kind of like as a trust exercise, I guess, or a trust thing, or something just to prove that they mean what they say, Finn is all for, you know, helping Bram with their current dragon hunter situation, if a lovely young dragon shifter woman by the name of Arabella helps him with the security in their land. A lot of their tech back home apparently is very old, and, you know, they themselves are having troubles with dragon hunters that are over on that side. So he asks if maybe possibly Arabella could, you know, come over and fix his computer. With Finn's introduction too, and his, you know, desire for having, you know, his land being a little more secure, and of course at the mention of Arabella, it's really, really fun to see the little moments between him and Arabella. Again, Jessie Donovan is amazing, the way that she wrote those scenes with the two of them, because again, it is one of those where it's like she gives you a little bit but she takes it back. So it's like she lets you taste it only to take it away. And so then every time they have a scene together, or they're able to, like, you know, or the book is like talking about the two of them and them interacting, you just like gobble that shit up. But like, and she just makes you want more, so much more, and I loved it. Okay, friends, so this is the section of the video where spoilers will absolutely be had. I tried very hard to not say anything at the beginning of the video. I'm sorry if it was a little lackluster, but there's just so much that I want to talk about, and I can't really say too much without giving away most if not all of the book. I won't be doing that too much in this part, but I will be saying some things that, you know, if you want to discover as you read, you know, go to the time slot, you know, right over here or down here, wherever I decide to put it, and just skip to the end, you know, where we rate and we suggest, and then after you read and you want to come back and join us, feel free, but you've been warned. So let's get to these dragon hunters, because my god, these guys are dicks. So like I said, the main big bads are the Carcyle dragon hunters, who are led by a man called Simon Bourne. Now, this man is evil. Super duper evil. Like I had mentioned before, at the end of the first book, Tristan was severely injured by this new laser gun that both Bram and all of the other dragon shifters had never heard of until Tristan got hurt. So this is a brand new weapon that was used on a dragon, and I mean, Tristan's a tough guy. He's not one of their like soldiers / protectors, but he's still pretty freaking tough, and it took him down like that. So everybody's kind of like, you know, on edge with everything. And then of course in this book, the thing that's been, you know, causing Bram, you know, worry and headache is that the dragon hunters are constantly attacking them and their borders. And not in like big war, outrageous fights. No, it's been like little attacks, like just testing their borders. And sometimes they're even able to sneak in. And it's been, you know, dangerous, because these dragon hunters they either are going to kidnap their young or kidnap the olders, kill the olders after taking their blood, and then, yeah. No, it's pretty freaking wicked exactly what these dragon hunters will do to these, you know, poor people, and it's just irritating that the government doesn't do anything about it. And so obviously, like, the biggest thing too about the dragon hunters and why they're such a threat is, like I said, Evie is running away from them. The big thing that they've been doing to actually DDA agents is killing them. They will threaten them and tell them, you need to quit and join our cause, or we're going to kill you. And they've actually murdered a buttload of DDA agents, and Evie just happened to be their next target. And obviously she's like, oh hell no, I'm not gonna let these assholes walk all over me. But obviously she doesn't want to, like, just run away, because there's really nowhere she can hide. Like, these people are everywhere, which is another really scary thing, is that there are dragon hunters who, you know, specifically are part of the group, but then there are, like, dragon hunter sympathizers. So then you have them, like, in hiding, or, like, just your everyday average Joe could be your neighbor next door, could be your neighbor's dog. It's terrifying. So, and that's one of the reasons why, you know, she goes to Clan Stonefire and tries to seduce Bram, which doesn't really, I mean, it kind of works. Like, he's super into her, but obviously, you know, at the beginning of the book, he's like, look, I know something's suspicious, so you either tell me the truth now or I kick you out. So obviously she kind of just spills it all, you know, as to why, you know, she is trying to do what she's trying to do. And so Bram, not being, you know, completely heartless, basically tells her, okay, well, what can you offer me? And that's when you come to find out all of, like, obviously the details that the DDA has, not just on the dragon hunters, but they've got a shit ton of knowledge on the dragon shifters that Bram didn't even know that they knew. For example, one of, like, not the really biggest reveal about Bram, but one of, like, his big secrets is that he is actually unable to have children, which, you know, for a clan leader, you know, that's kind of a big deal, especially when your species is on the brink of extinction. When he found out that she knew this particular information, and he even asked her, like, how the hell did you know that? Like, that, I don't tell anybody that. Like, very few people know that. So how did you find out? And Evie's like, the DDA, man, we got ways. It's like the freaking FBI. So obviously, with Bram finding out her advanced knowledge, he basically kind of demands her to give him this information. But obviously she's smart enough and is like, okay, well, if I give you this info, like, you're like, this is gonna happen, right? You're gonna take me as your mate and I'm gonna be cool, because I'm not gonna give you this information just for you to toss me aside. And he was kind of like, yeah, I'll think about it. And she's like, I'm only gonna give you half this information then, because I need more than I'ma think about it. So of course, with killing the DDA agents, I mean, the biggest thing for the dragon hunters is not only for them to, you know, attempt to kidnap, kill all of the dragon shifters, but their big plan in terms of with the DDA agents is, if there are no more DDA agents and people stop volunteering to be a DDA agent, which pin the point. People have to volunteer to be a DDA agent. And I'm like, wait, what? These people have to volunteer? Okay, that's fine. Do they get paid? No. And guess what? They're treated like shit on both sides, because the dragon hunters don't like them, or the dragon shifters don't like them for obvious reasons. But then the humans don't like them, because the humans are like, why are you helping the dragons? And the DDA agent is like, I'm just the middleman. And then you have obviously the dragon shifters over here like, why are your rules so constricting? We just want to live and repopulate. And the DDA agent is like, Anyway, back to what I was saying previously, which is, if everybody stops volunteering to be a DDA agent, then the sacrifice system will actually stop and be disbanded, and then the dragon shifters are again stuck to going extinct. And at that point, the dragon hunters will they'll just hunt them down, kill them, kidnap them, do what they have to do, sell their skin on the black market, huzzah! AKA a really fucked up situation. So obviously, Bram wants to keep his people safe. And so he, does take Evie as a partner. He doesn't call her his mate. Not really mean it in the way that Tristan means it for Melanie, which this is the part that I actually really loved with Bram's character, and that it makes him just so lovingly tragic, is that he actually really wants what Tristan has with Melanie. He wants to find somebody to love, and he knows that, he can't provide children for his clan. And so finding a mate would, his true mate, like if he found his true mate, then he could have children. But if he just takes Evie, who isn't his true mate, there is no chance of him ever having children. And not only that, but at this point in the story, he doesn't love her. And so he understands the need to protect his people, and that comes first and foremost for him. And you get to see the sacrifices that he's made, and you find out that, as the book goes on, that, the different things that he's had to do and things that he's had to give up in order to, keep his people safe, or, keep, his clan alive. Because apparently their clan is the one that is the closest to going extinct, which is why the fact that, any human sacrifice that they get is super, super, super important to Bram. And that's why he follows everything to the T. As much as he hates the British government and the DDA, he knows that he has to do, what they ask of him and what is required of him and his clan in order to keep receiving human sacrifices, because he wants his clan to continue to live. He doesn't want it to, go extinct, and I'm pretty sure we could all relate to that, in some aspects. Of course, this also kind of gives us a little bit of look into Evie too, because, as he opens up to her and she finds out all the sacrifices he's had to make, she opens up and, tells him about her own sacrifices, which, we'll bet, she doesn't have like the weight of, having to keep an entire clan alive, but, she's given up a lot, especially to be a DDA agent. She's given up a social life. She's given up, romance, family, because, she knew going into being a DDA agent, that her life would be threatened, like it is now. And, people would hate on her family or hate on her friends or anybody that was associated with her for being a DDA agent. Now, not everybody, hates the DDA agents, on both sides. Well, mainly on the human side. But, she knew that going into this that she wasn't going to have an easy life, and she accepted that. And it sucked because, when she was younger, she actually really wanted to get to know the dragons and help the dragons. Like, she was very interested. But then she had a really bad experience with the clan that she worked with before Stonefire, which was the Sky Hunter clan. And, apparently the clan leader over there was a total douchebag, hated her guts. All of the dragon shifters in his clan hated her. And not only that, but they also hated their human sacrifices. Like, they would treat them horribly. And Evie at one point, was also treated horribly by them. And that kind of gets us into, the third thing that I kind of discovered while reading this book, and even while writing my notes for this video, was kind of like the theme for the book, which is redemption in oneself. So like self-redemption, like you can forgive yourself and you can be redeemed for, your guilt and stuff and things that you've done and wished you could have done. And, the things that you sacrifice, that good things come to you. So for context, in the first book, we are actually introduced to 2 human sacrifices. other than Melanie. One of them being Catriona Belmont. And she was paired by Bram to another dragon man. And his name was Nate. Now, Nate was a dick, like a super, super asshole. He emotionally abused Kate. And Bram knew that Nate wasn't a good person. But he really, really hoped that, you know, given, you know, not that like, you know, a beautiful woman like will change you, but he thought that, you know, hey, this lady, you know, is sweet, she's nice, get to know her and stop being a dick. Kind of like how, you know, with Tristan, you know, it happened, but it didn't happen for Nate. Nate was just a dick, like super, super asshole. And what broke the straw on the camel's back was actually Nate cheated and on his human sacrifice. Because there's a rule when you have a human sacrifice, when a dragon man is gifted a human sacrifice, is that they are not allowed to cheat, sleep, or be with anybody other than the human sacrifice. And that's mainly for like, you know, pregnancy purposes, but also like even afterwards, even after the human is pregnant, you're not, like, the dragon man is not allowed to be with any other person. Like, they either have to be with the human, or the human sacrifice and the dragon man have to come to an agreement that even though, you know, there's no, you know, attraction between them, there is a mutual respect. So while, you know, the human sacrifice is on their land, you know, he has to be respectful of her and not, you know, basically openly disregard her, which is exactly what Nate did. And it broke her severely. And Bram, you know, held that guilt for months. Like, from that moment on when it happened, and he actually kicked Nate out of the clan. He was like, nope, you're a dick, away. But she just became a broken human, and he attempted so hard to, you know, try to reach out to her, be her friend, and she just wasn't having it. And it actually wasn't until Melanie showed up and started reaching out to her that she then, in return, started reaching out to other people, including Bram. And you know, Bram, this gave Bram so much hope, because he was like, oh my gosh, she's getting better. You know, I'm so happy. I'm so glad that this is happening. And he was even thinking, Bram, of, you know, taking care of her, of possibly taking her on as a mate, not to, you know, to basically take care of her, and her baby. But unfortunately, and we find this out at the beginning of this book, is that she actually dies at childbirth. But the baby lives, which is the cute little thing that I had mentioned earlier of the side of Bram, is that after Kate passes away, he actually kind of takes temporary guardianship of her baby Murray, and he is the cutest thing in the world. I'm not kidding when I say that Bram is like super cute daddy, like but yeah, he is just super loving towards baby Murray, and it is the cutest thing. But carrying that guilt in terms of, you know, everything that happened to Kate, he carries around with him like throughout the whole story. And, you know, at one point he does open up to Evie about it, you know, about feeling guilty about her, and like it's one of the many reasons why he's very hesitant to even take Evie as a partner, because he doesn't want to hurt her, because he, at that certain point wasn't really certain about his feelings, and, you know, basically told her, I don't know if I could ever love you, you know, and I don't want to hurt you. Like, you're a good person. Like, I can see that, you know, you're a beautiful, wonderful person. I don't want to hurt you, because I don't know if I could ever feel that way. And I don't need more guilt on me. Like, I don't want to break another human. Like, I did it the one time and it sucked. And to which Evie then responds to him, her own guilt, which is that while she was actually on Skyhunter Land, there was a human sacrifice that kept going to her and seeking help, you know, just wanting to know, like, was she gonna be able to go home? Just this poor human sacrifice was just having a shit of a time, And at that point, Evie was having a shit of a time too, and she just didn't know how to respond to any of this, and that human sacrifice ended up, doing something horrible. Warning to those of you who are very sensitive to this topic, you can skip really quick, like to the next minute or so you don't hear this part, because it is a bit tragic. So what this human sacrifice actually does is, she harms herself. She kills herself. And Evie carries that guilt so heavily. And it's one of those, like, you don't really, like, see it at first because she covers it up with, her spitfiriness. But, I mean, that's what, that's the guilt that Evie carries with herself. And she feels so guilty. And it's one of those reasons why she desperately wants to change, the way that people think about dragons. And she wants people to understand dragons. And she wants dragons to understand people as well. Which is really fun. Which is a really funny thing, because she comes to find out, Evie does, that Melanie is actually in the midst of writing a book. Now, I can't exactly remember if I had mentioned this, but in the first book, Melanie obviously is a social anthropology major, and she was looking to write a thesis paper, or her like doctoral paper, whatever they gotta write for smart people. But anyway, Melanie actually decides to turn that into a book, and it's basically just telling people about dragons, about how they are now, about their culture, about their tradition, and everything. And Evie is all for this plan and is full throttle with helping Melanie out. And obviously Bran becomes curious, asks her why, and then she tells him. But yeah, so this story is so very warm and touching in terms of like that theme of redemption and like self-redemption and self-forgiveness. And that's the big thing too, is like forgiveness. Evie tells Bran, to forgive himself, and obviously Bran tells her to forgive herself. And so it's this really cute thing of them each telling each other that they need to forgive, that they need to forgive, and they remind each other too that that they can forgive themselves, and they're gonna make sure they remind each other of that, and it's very cute. All right, well, in terms of rating for this very, very cute book, I am absolutely giving it a 5 out of 5 steamy coffee cups. This book is amazing. The characters are amazing. The introduction to new characters, Finn, is amazing. The way Jessie writes her stories are awesome, and I absolutely look forward to continuing to read this series. And but yes, getting to read about these characters, new and old, is absolutely fun. Jessie and her world are amazing, and I'm so looking forward to continuing to read the books. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me yet again, and I'll see you in the next one.